Good day, friends. My name is John D. Zimmerman. Though many in Union City knew me as the Squire, I came to this village from Connecticut in the late 1830s, bringing with me my family, my tools, and the hope of building a good life here along the rivers of Michigan. I am a blacksmith by trade. I know the weight of iron, the heat of the forge, the sound of the hammer striking metal. But there came a time when I understood that some chains were not made for horses or wagons. Some chains were placed on human beings, and those chains had to be broken. Here in Union City, our village became known as Station Number 2 on the Underground Railroad. It was not a railroad of tracks and engines, it was a secret path of courage made of homes, barns, wagons, lanterns, trusted friends, whispered prayers, and dangerous decisions. The story of David Nelms did not begin at my door. Before David came to Union City, he had been connected with another abolitionist, Augustus Waddles. Waddles was a Quaker and a deeply committed abolitionist in Ohio. He was one of those peoples who faith required action. He did not only speak against slavery, he helped people toward freedom. It was Augustus Waddles who referred David to come to Union City. That referral mattered. In the Underground Railroad, trust was everything. One wrong word, one careless introduction, one person who could not be trusted could mean capture and a return to slavery. But Waddles knew where David might find help. He sent him to John Zimmerman. David Nelms had a complicated and painful story. He was granted freedom papers by his owner and father, Percival Nelms. But Percival's other sons did not want David's family to have freedom. Those papers may have represented freedom, but freedom on paper was not always respected in a world where slave catchers, greed, and racism still threatens a family's life. David was married to Lucy. Together they had children: Andrew, Charlotte, Buck, and Ed. When the crisis came, most of David's family was left behind. Only Andrew was able to escape with him. Think of the heartbreak of that truth. Freedom came with separation. Survival came with loss. David and Andrew were moving towards safety, but they carried the grief of Lucy, Charlotte, Buck, and Ed with them. In the year 1843, David Nelms and his son Andrew came to Union City as refugees from slavery. Imagine them arriving here, tired, afraid, and uncertain of who could be trusted. Every road could hold danger, every stranger could be a threat. The law, of course, protected the slave catcher, not the freedom seeker. But when David and Andrew came to Union City, they found people who believed that no person should be owned by another. They found help. They found shelter. They found a station. They found my home. David and Andrew were not cargo. They were not property. They were a father and a son. They were men with names, skills, memories, hopes, and a family that slavery tore apart. There came a dangerous moment when a bounty hunter named Simeon Pemberton came to Union City to claim Andrew. The threat was real. Andrew's freedom, his future, and perhaps even his life were in danger. Andrew had to hide. He concealed himself in a haystack on the flats, waiting in fear while the danger moved through the village. It was one thing to tell a story of courage many years later. It was another to imagine a young man hiding in the hay, listening, holding his breath, knowing that if found, everything could be lost. During that time, Joe Bell helped Andrew by bringing him food while he hid. The act may sound simple, but it was not simple at all. To bring food to a hidden freedom seeker was to take a risk. It was to choose humanity over fear. It was to say, "You are not alone." Another helper in this story was Reverend Leander Smith Hobart. He was part of the network of conscience that helped move freedom fight seekers onwards. When the danger was too great and Andrew needed a safer place, Reverend Hobart played a role in taking Andrew toward freedom in Canada. Canada represented safety because slavery had been abolished there. For many people escaping slavery in the United States, Canada was not just a place on the map. It was the difference between being hunted and being free. Reverend Hobart's role reminded us that the Underground Railroad depended on all kinds of courage. Some opened doors, some gave directions, some drove wagons, some offered food, some prayed, and some took the dangerous road north. David and Andrew were skilled men, and here in Union City, they worked as blacksmiths alongside me. In my shop, the sound of the hammer meant more than labor. It meant dignity. It meant skill. It meant that David and Andrew were not merely being hidden, they were living, working, and contributing to this community. A blacksmith shop is a place of heat and strength. Iron enters the fire hard and unbending, but under pressure, it can be shaped into something useful. I often thought that freedom worked that way. It required fire, it required pressure, it required hands willing to strike again and again until the shape of justice began to appear. Andrew escaped to Canada, yet his connection to Union City did not disappear. He often returned to visit David and me. That tells you something important about his place in the story Union City. And this story, Union City, was not only a stop on a route, it became a part of Andrew's life, part of his memory, and part of his circle of trust. Every time David Andrew returned, it was a reminder that freedom was not a single moment. Freedom was a continuing story, a story of family, friendship, work, and courage. David stayed in Union City. After all he had endured, the village became his home. He worked, lived, and remained among people who had helped him when danger was near. It is believed that David most likely is buried here in Union City, perhaps even on or near my burial plot. We may not have every record we wish we had. History does not always preserve the lives of freedom seekers with the care that they deserved. But when records are incomplete, memory becomes sacred work. We speak their names so that they are not lost. I did not act alone. No one on the Underground Railroad truly acted alone. Augustus Waddles helped guide David toward Union City. Joe Bell brought food to Andrew in hiding. Reverend Leander Smith Hobart helped carry the journey onward toward Canada. David and Andrew brought their own courage, skill, and determination. And I, John Zimmerman, opened my door and my blacksmith shop. There was danger in that choice. Helping freedom seekers could bring fines, punishment, violence, and disgrace from those who supported slavery. But I ask you, what is the worth of a peaceful life if it is purchased in ignoring the suffering of others? Today, when you walk the streets of Union City, I hope you remember that history did not always happen in great cities or on battlefields. It happened here. It happened in small homes. It happened in haystacks on the flats. It happened in blacksmith shops. It happened when ordinary people made extraordinary choices. Remember David Nelms. Remember Lucy, Andrew, Charlotte, Buck, and Ed. Remember the families separated by slavery and the hope that carried Andrew north to Canada. Remember Augustus Waddles, Joe Bell, Reverend Leander Smith Hobart, and the many unnamed helpers whose courage kept the Underground Railroad moving. And when you remember John Zimmerman, do not remember only the blacksmith. Remember the door that opened. Remember station number 2. Remember the hammer striking iron. Remember that every generation must decide what it will do when someone comes seeking freedom. Thank you.